had two of the top four offenses in the NFL playing in Super Bowl 53. Not like you could tell in the first half. No red zone snaps through three quarters. But stop me if you've heard this before. The Pats made just enough plays in the fourth quarter to win the Super Bowl. Coverage on ESPN right now, leading into NFL primetime with Boomer and the guys on the field in moments. Coverage all night on ESPN. We'll go to ESPN2 in just a little bit for press conferences. Brady, Belichick, Goff, McVay, you name it. This is Tim Hasselbeck. He's with us here today. Here's what we have. Bill Belichick speaking on yet another Super Bowl championship. Tom Brady now with his sixth Lombardi. That's more than the Dallas Cowboys organization and as many as the Steelers. Sean McVay's return to the state of Georgia is a little bittersweet. And Jared Goff in his first Super Bowl, he hopes the first of many to come, certainly didn't end the way that he would have liked. So that's all on the way. Those guys, the second they hit the podium, we'll have them for you here on ESPN. Then we'll move over to ESPN2. Again, coverage all night here. Your place to be for postgame is ESPN. Thanks for being with us. All right, Tim, your biggest takeaway now that it is over, just a minute ago in the books, the Pats have done it.
Which is the fact that it wasn't the game that we thought we were going to get. I mean, to be sitting there 3-3 at halftime thinking, wait a second, this isn't the type of football that we thought that we'd be seeing. I think that's the biggest surprise. You mentioned the offense early in the season, just kind of dominating things. When you got into the postseason, it seemed like defense really mattered. I thought both defenses had good plans, Zubin. Thought they played well. Not necessarily the best offensive performances, some good defensive performances. So that's the biggest thing for me before you even get into the fact that, oh my gosh, this is Tom Brady's sixth Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Pats will take this one, but they made a little dubious history collectively. If you're ever wondering, has there been this few points scored in a Super Bowl? The answer to that is no. The 16 combined points, the lowest ever in Super Bowl history. Super Bowl 7 saw the Dolphins defeat the Redskins 14-7 for a collective 21 points. And you just saw moments ago there in Boston, the fans celebrating. There's no city in recent years used to celebrating and planning parades more than Boston. And there's no team in that great American city that's made those best laid plans than the Pats. There's so much to dig into here. I want to start with an unlikely hero, at least early. Every coach that I've heard on ESPN over the years, every coach you've played for, offense, defense, special teams. And we kind of scoff at the third one, but for a good part of this game, the latter was a huge factor.
Yeah, listen, the punting game was a huge deal. When you think about just the field position game, I mean, look, Johnny Hekker had a good day for the Rams. Allen had a tremendous day for the Patriots. That certainly was a big part of it. And I think when we talk about, and we're going to get into Tom Brady and the Super Bowl wins, and you talk about different phases of the game, this wasn't Tom Brady's best Super Bowl, but he's going to end up, being a Super Bowl champion because of the way that team played. And so it really is a collective effort. You talk about what coaches say. Coaches talk about how, hey, it takes everybody. It takes all three phases. And this is a good example of why quarterback wins aren't necessarily quarterback stats, but maybe more in line with coaching stats. And I think that you have to give a lot of credit to what Bill Belichick was able to do in a game like this, the plan he had against that Rams offense, and then the way they played just kind of a different brand of football in the postseason, and then what they did on special teams. So, yeah, it seems like every aspect in every facet of the game that New England, it seems to encounter anytime they play, they just seem like they're ready for it.
Might have been a slow start to the game. Anything but for us. Our post-game coverage is just getting going all night here on ESPN. We're going to step aside, take a break.
Big dog.
What's up, brother?
You hear the cavalry come in?
I do. How are you,
buddy?
I'm doing good.
Great to see you.
All right, Tom, 3 consecutive Super Bowls, your 9th Super Bowl. I saw the excitement after the AFC Championship. How surreal is it to be here?
We knew when we went to Kansas City, it was going to be a tough game. And the way that the game kind of went, ebbed and flowed, and the way that we won it, it felt like, again, we were underdog going into that one. And I think that brought back a lot of feelings that we haven't had in a while. And then to win that game, it was just to realize we're coming back to the Super Bowl was as surreal as it gets.
It's a little strange to hear you say underdog. I mean, we hadn't played that card since the last time we played against the Rams in Super Bowl 36. Nobody gave us a shot in hell to win that game.
Yeah.
At 19 years, certain things do diminish, but I know how competitive people are. And, you know, a player from the Rams came out this week and said, oh, Brady's not the same. He doesn't have the same speed. I was like, well, he never had the speed.
True.
He never had the athletic ability and all those different things. Was that a little extra added motivation?
It is. And I think that's just, again, it's fuel for the fire. You know, it's fuel for the fire. And I think because that's part of actually who we really are.
Right.
You know, and I think everyone has their story. And, you know, I think my story's been told over and over and over again, but it's still me. So when you ignite those feelings, it's just, it's amazing feeling for me, you know, because I really don't like when people say, oh, man, you're this, you're great, you're this. I don't want to hear that. That doesn't help me.
Right.
You know, what helps me is when people tell me I'm no good, I'm never going to make it, that you'll never be a pro quarterback. You never go to college to play. You'll never even play in your high school team.
Right.
Those become part of you. And I think it's nice when those feelings are there, because they are there, and they're still there for this game.
How do you, as a leader, motivate the other players to say, no matter how much success we've had, no matter what we've done, none of that really matters. The only thing that matters is what we're about to do.
For sure, and I think that's been what this team's been about. Coach always says, look, like, last year's last year. I mean, you can hear him say that, I'm sure, as, you know, in your voice in your head. You know, this is this year's team. No one cares about last year. No one cares your Pro Bowls, you know, your Super Bowls. No one cares. This team doesn't care. And I think the 2018 team has, you know, has grinded. I mean, we've grinded our way through it. We've grinded through the ups and downs, and all those have made us closer. We had a real tough loss in Miami. No one hurt bad, you know. And then after that, had our best game of the year against the Chargers in the cold, and then, you know, went to Kansas City and played, you know, one of our best games as a team. So playing well at the end is what matters. You know, it doesn't matter what you did in September. You know, you got to do it over the course of the year, and I think we've found our identity, but now we get a chance to play for a world championship.
And you did say that statistics and all those numbers don't matter. The only thing that matters is dubs. You also said there's a 0 chance
I know
that you're retiring next year. Are you tired of hearing people talk about you retiring?
I mean, I think it's such a non-story at this point, you know? I said before, when I suck, I'll retire. You know, if I feel like I can't help our team win, then what's the point? You know, as a great teammate, you let someone else play.
Right.
You know, if there was someone else that came along that gave the team a better chance to win, that's football. That's how it goes. And you want to be the one that's the reason why your team's winning, so you can be out there playing at a high level. So that's a lot of motivation for me. And then every once in a while when people talk a little smack, that just gives me a little more. So whether you do it or Rodney does it, I get an occasional message from the two of you, you know, and, you know, just gets me back working.
You do realize if you win this Super Bowl, it will be 6 championships for you in football. There will be nobody in NFL history to have accomplished that. Do you ever just think about that?
I think, you know, a 6th ring would be incredible because it's after the 5th one. And I never thought I'd ever win 1. That's the reality. And then we won 1. And then before you knew it, we won 2.
You got greedy.
And then before you knew it, we won 3. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then, you know, it's been a dream come true, you know, and then to win in 14 against a great Seattle team and to have this incredible win against Atlanta. I mean, no one would ever thought we could have come back and won that. And I just think it's just a great lesson for everybody, man. Just keep doing it. Just keep fighting. Never lose hope, you know? And I think that's been something that I've always ingrained in me. I found a great environment in New England to bring that out in me. You know, I think it's a great lesson for people who play sports, man. Patriots weren't always like we are now. You and I remember what it was like before. And I think that's a little bit where we are now. We're starting again. And that's what this team has really embraced. And, you know, hopefully we can make it a great night on Sunday.
And Ian Rappaport joining us right now as we look over the steering wheel past tonight. It's amazing that Brady has 1 year left on a contract that we all assumed would be his last. But it looks like it won't, correct?
Kraft, Rich, led some credence to that thought earlier in the week when he said he had no reservations about extending Tom Brady, or extending a quarterback in his 40s into the mid-40s. And Kraft actually said he'd be quite surprised if Brady was not the team's quarterback for at least several years. As Brady gets older, that was always the lingering concern, and they can say what they want, but nothing speaks louder than a contract extension. He's due only $14 million next year, maybe the biggest bargain in the history of sports. I would expect at the very least sometime before training camp, the Patriots and Tom Brady and his longtime representative Don Yee to get together and do something to make this quarterback happy contract-wise and make sure, Rich, that he is their quarterback at least for the next several years.
It's amazing. It really, really is. I mean, to see a 41-year-old quarterback in the Super Bowl, maybe we'll see that again. Maybe. I can pretty much say we'll never see that again with that 41-year-old having played in the Super Bowl as a 40-year-old the year before. I mean, it's really nuts, really.
You know what, Rich, the one thing that I try to get away from, and I was talking to several people, the numbers they bring up, the age and different things like that. When I look at special players, and I look at players that have great work ethic and a great skill set, I don't look at numbers. I don't look at statistics. I don't look at all that stuff. I look at production. How do you make your team better? Certain situations, how do you play in certain games? And when you look at Tom Brady, he's never been about athleticism. He's never been about speed and a lot of those other things. It's always been about the grind, hard work. What can I do next to get better? Never becoming complacent or looking at my accolades and different things out of my accomplishment. I tried to pull him out of that and just get him to reflect before that interview. He did for about 5 seconds, and he went right back into game mode, like he's a machine. And I wish sometimes people would stop looking at players' ages and look at their production.
But Willie, you bring it up, Willie, the grind gets to some people, and usually you're retiring is because of either lack of skill or lack of will. You know, you just don't want to do the grind anymore. And it's incredible when you see someone who is at the pinnacle on both sides, skill and will, and still going this late after having that kind of success.
You look at this guy, and it's not, to me, it's not about 40 and 41, which is really incredible, because the guy won a Super Bowl as a 24-year-old backup quarterback when they were an underdog of 14 points. So that was incredible too in his younger years. So to me, it's the I look back and go, it's the whole darn body of work which has been so excellent for so long with so many different teammates and coaches other than Bill, and it's phenomenal. It's not going to happen again.
You know what I find amazing, and listening to what he said, when he said, don't tell me how great I am, I don't want to hear. Well, that's all we heard last offseason is that Bill Belichick never tells him how great he is. So as much as you try to make a fight about it, Bill Belichick has been doing exactly what he needs to do to keep his feet full with gas, and that put the pedal on the metal and say, hey, Tom, you're not there yet, and he's getting it.
It's a little different, because when I played for Bill Parcells, who drafted me, the one thing he wouldn't do, if you had a couple plays, he would never tell you, oh, man, you did great. If you had a couple of games, he would never tell you, you did great. He wanted you to string it along for a consistent period of time. Once you did that, then he would come over and be like, you know what you've been doing for the last 4 to 5 weeks, it's been exceptional. Then you felt like you did something. He said anybody could do it for 1 or 2 years. Anybody could do it for a couple of plays. But when you can do it consistently, then that's saying something. And it depends on who it's coming from. Exactly right what you said about Belichick.
So you said Belichick hadn't said anything to this man in the last 20 years?
What he was saying is that, well, the rule for Parcells was 4 years. For Belichick, it was 19.
Right.
You know, that's his standard. That's his standard. What Willie's
saying. Hey, Rich, that's a great point, though. But listen, if I need to keep something in my back pocket, when you're thinking about something last year to get you to come back and get you going, and then finally we had that meeting of the minds, and I said, you know what, I really appreciate everything you've been doing for the last 19 years, and maybe I hadn't expressed that to you enough. Maybe we hadn't had these conversations, and maybe I need to change a little bit, but I do appreciate it, and without you, I wouldn't be here. And Belichick tells a lot of his players that. He told me that in camp. He said, Willie, without you guys, there would be no Bill Belichick, and none of this would be.
Well, I think that
means a lot.
And I also think the greatest appreciation he could show him is getting somebody like Sony Michel to be drafted. I mean, this kid has been unbelievable. He's been terrific. And with a running game and the ability to get rid of the ball so quickly, Brady could play till he's 60. What do you got over there?
My boy Shamar Moore over there. Look at Shamar Moore.
Hey, Shamar.
Hey, what's up, baby? That's my boy there now.
Star SWAT back there.
Yeah, so I was on SWAT. I did a cameo on SWAT.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, it's coming
wearing
on February
his Red
7th.
Sox lid. Good to see you. And I'm sure CBS gave him some nice seats on the 50.
That's my dog.
You need to be up here.
When you star on SWAT, CBS is going to give you 2 on the 50, I'm sure, for your favorite team. That's pretty cool stuff right there. And by the way, you all can tell me how great I am at any time. All right, that's where two Michigan.
We don't
men
want you to
completely-
stop, Rich.
No. I'm just.
We don't want you to-
I'm not.
we don't
No,
want you to stop.
I'm turning 50, so just keep telling me how great I am.
When the
okay?
network gets to 19 years, we'll do that.
That's just around the corner, man. That's just around the corner. All right, did Manny Pacquiao tweet something out? Okay. Life begins at 53, huh? I'll be rooting hard for my fellow 40-plus champion athlete. Hashtag Tom Brady. Manny Pacquiao, Usain Bolt, they're all talking about Brady. Fantastic. All right, Shamar Moore, can we get him another seat? Fantastic.
But bring Shamar out there, man. Now bring him out
Make
of
my
this plate,
seat.
man. We killing time, man.